Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I thank you all for the love and for the support. If you are new to the channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. If you find this video helpful, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. So it actually helps me a lot to know. So thank you so much. Okay, so in today's class, we're going to be learning how to cut an off-shoulder bustier with a basque waistline and then bishop sleeve. So we're going to be cutting and sewing everything in this one single video. Okay, so if you want to register for our online classes, you can see my number scrolling through the screen. Just send me a message on WhatsApp and then I'll give you the details of the classes that we have available. You can also follow me on all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all at Stylish Naija. So thank you so much. So let's just get started. So I'm going to lay out my pattern. We're going to draft it first and then fold transfer to the fabric. Okay, guys, so these are the measurements that I'm going to be using. So this is my shoulder line, this is my bust point line, this is my under bust, and then this is the waist. So this is the full length. So the bust measurement that I'm making use of is 34. My under bust, this is the under bust. The under bust is 28. The waist, this is the waist, is 30, and then my bust point is 10. That's from shoulder to bust, is 10 inches. Why? Because you know it is an off shoulder. It is an off shoulder, so we're taking out 5 inches from the top. Okay, then shoulder to the under bust, that's from this top to this under bust, we're going to be making use of 13.5, and then from this shoulder to the waist, that's the half cut, is 18 inches, and then we're adding 6 inches to create that basque like effect. So from this point is the 6 inches. You can do 5 inches, depends on what you want. So at the end of the day, the full length of the dress, the top from shoulder to this point, is 24 inches. So these are the measurements, dimensions that we're going to be making use of. So now we're going to start drafting. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take out our dart. So I'm going to be making use of 4.5 inches for my dart, including the allowance. So the dart, that's my bust pan, which is the nipple to nipple. I'm making use of 4.5. And then once I'm done, I'm just going to connect it down. So the next thing I'm going to do now, we're going to take out the dart. So the dart, I'm going to come to my under bust point like this. I'm going to take out 2 inches from this side, and then I'll take out 1 inch from this side. So from this part, I'm just going to create a very defined curve into those points like this. I'm going to make use of my pattern curve. I just want to freehand it first. And then from this part, I'll curve this into this point also. So I'll use my curve. So you can see what I have. I'll just blend it in. And then I'll come to the chest line area. So for the chest line part, I'm going to make use of 1.5 on this right hand side, and then I'll make use of 1 inch on this left hand side. And then I'm going to go ahead like this. I'll just freehand it first. And then this also, I would connect to this point. So I'll highlight it now with my marker. So for this part, you can actually take out, you can actually use 1.5 inches also. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'll blend it all up. And then from this point, I'm going to elongate this measurement, this 1 inch. I'm going to take it to the down part like this. So once I get to the down part, I'm going to blend it into that line so you can see what I have. And then this one also, I'm going to do the same thing here like this so you can see what I have. So the next thing now, I'm going to cut off my dart, and then I'll place it on top and cut out. So after cutting, I'm going to take this like this. I'll just place it here. Just make sure that this point is matching like this. And then this part, I'm going to use a tape to tape it down. I'm not going to leave it like this. I'll tape it down like this. Okay, so you can see what I have here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to flatten it a little bit down. So that's all. So the next thing, we're going to take out our full body measurement. So like I said, the bust measurement that we're using for this dress is actually 34 inches. So when you divide 34 into 4, this is what you are going to have. So you take that measurement, you add it on this point like this. So after adding it, you add your stitching allowance, which I'm just going to add 1 inch. And then from this point, remember we dropped with 5 inches. I'm going to take like this. I'm going to use half of my armhole measurement, which is 16. So you divide 16 into 2, you have 8 inches. So I'm just going to mark it like this. And then I'll insert my curve. Okay. So the next thing now, that bust measurement that I measured here, I'm just going to take it. I'll repeat it here. Everything that I have here, I'll repeat it here on the under bust point line. And then on this part now, add another allowance to it. I just add 1 inch, another 1 inch. So that at the end of the day, that's 2 inches. That's what I added. And then my under bust measurement, like I said, is 28. So when you divide 28 into 4, I'm going to go ahead and insert it here like this. And then I'm going to add just about 1.5 inch allowance. So from this point, I'm just going to blend this into that point to give it a defined shape. And then the next measurement that I'm going to add is my waist measurement. This is the waist, which is 30. You divide 30 into 4, you have 7.5. So this is my 7.5. And then on the waist part, I'm going to add as much as 3 inches allowance to it. Why? Because it is the tummy area, so you don't want it to be tight. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll do this. And then on the waist, on your blouse waist, so you can take what you have here and then bring it down to your blouse waist part, and then you add your allowance. So on this part, I'm just going to, or you can just elongate what you have here already. Just take it down. So the next thing we're going to do now, so we're almost done. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to create our basque effect. And if you notice, the basque effect is a round basque. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch from this point, from the waist part. You can actually go in to that point, but I'm going to come down just by 1 inch. And then from this part, I'm just going to create a beautiful defined curve. Let it come into this point. So I'll use my pattern curve. So you can see what I have. So you can see it is really looking beautiful. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to add our neckline. So for the neckline, if you notice, it is like a little sweetheart neckline. So for that little sweetheart neckline, I'm going to make use of 3 inches. So I'm just going to mark my 3 inches here. This is my 3 inches. And then from this 3 inches point, you know that we dropped with 5 inches. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come down by 7 inches. So that's the depth of my neckline. So this is 7 inches. And then I'm just going to do a back flip into this point like this to give me that sweetheart neckline. And then from this point, after that, I'm going to reduce my shoulder measurement because it is an off shoulder. So what I'm going to do, instead of making use of my 7 inches, like I said initially, this is my 7 inches. I'm going to go ahead, I'll reduce my 7 inches to 6 inches. So from this point, I'm just going to create a curve like this into this point, and then I'll float it into my armhole part. So you can see how easy. So this whole part, we're cutting off all of this part. You just float it into your armhole. So we're done. So I'll go ahead, I'll cut out now. Okay, so you can see this is our front pattern. So I'll go ahead and open this up right now. So you can see how curvy the bustier pattern is looking. It really looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out, show you how to cut out the back. Okay, so we have all of our lines back on our pattern. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to draw out the shoulder. So the shoulder line is 7 inches. I'm going to reduce it by 1 inch because it is an off shoulder. And then from this point, I'll mark my 8 inches, which is for my armhole. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark it like this. And then create out my curve for my armhole. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll add all of my measurements for my bust point line. That's my bust measurement. And then I'll add my under bust. Divide all of your measurements into 4, 4, 4. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add the back neckline. So for the back neckline, it's going to be deeper. So I'm going to make use of 8 inches. So this is 8 inches. So from this point, from this 8 inches, I'm just going to make a curve like this into the armhole area like this. So that is for my back neckline. If you want it deeper, you can come down further. And then the next thing, I'm going to add my waist dart to the back. So I'm just going to mark my 4.5 here, and then I'll come up by as much as 5 inches and take out ½ inch from the sides. That's just a simple waist dart for the back pattern. So that is how simple it is. Okay guys, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer to my fabric. So I have about 2 yards of fabric here. That's what I'm going to be making use of for this top. So I'll go ahead, I'll cut them out right now. Okay guys, so I've cut out my lining. So I'm just going to take off the linings, and then I'm going to show you how to stitch. So this is how I usually stitch when I'm making an off shoulder. I'm going to take it to my machine, and then I'll stitch. I'll just start it from this point like this. I hope you can see it. And then I'll just negotiate the curve like this, so you can see the under bust area, you can see it matching. And then I'll go ahead to the down part. So I'll do the same thing with this side, and then I'll join the back. So like I told you, the back is just a regular dart that I'm adding. So I'll join them on the side and then bring it back and show you, and then we'll cut out the sleeve. It is a very simple top. Okay, guys, so you can see I finished coupling it. The truth of the matter is, if you have not tried my bustier pattern, so you can see this pattern, so you can see after stitching, you see the bust cup, you see it came out really beautiful. I'm going to show you now. I actually did not add anything to this, so you can see, see the lining is empty. I did not put any form of padding at all on this, and yet you can see what we have. You see the cups, they came out really beautifully well, so you can see how perfect it is looking. So try. I have a lot of patterns of bustier patterns on the channel. If you have not tried them, just go ahead and try them. People that have tried them, they have actually sent comments how perfect they are looking. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to stitch the side. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to join the sides together like this. After joining the side, this one I'm adding a zipper to the back. So after joining the side, I'm going to close it up. So I'll fix the sleeve, and then I'll come back and cut out the sleeves for you to see. Okay guys, so I finished stitching. So I'm going to show you. So you see how the back is looking. So I've not added the zip yet. And then for the front, my lining was half lining. So I actually did not do the lining up to the down. So you can see how the down part is looking. So I just piped the down part of the top, just like what we have on the picture. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to shape. I'm going to shape my armhole. So in shaping my armhole, here's what I'm just going to do. I'll use this to trim out on the other part also. Okay, so we're going to cut out our off shoulder sleeve right now. So I've finished shaping the armhole so you can see how it is looking beautiful. So to cut out the sleeve, you are going to use your round sleeve measurement. That's for the top part. So my round sleeve measurement is actually 10, because if you notice that the sleeve looks like it has little tiny pleats. So I'm just going to increase it a little bit. So from this point, because it is an off shoulder, normally we're supposed to use that 5 inches. So you increase the 5 inches. So that's just like the simple way of doing it. Why you are increasing the 5 inches is because you are going to pleat it. But if it is a sleeve that you are not going to pleat, you will just make use of your 5 inches, that 5 inches that you took off. So for this, I'm going to make use of about 8 inches. 8 inches is okay. So this is 8 inches, and then I'll just add 1 inch allowance to it. So from this point, this is just like a very simple way of cutting out an off shoulder sleeve. I'm just going to come to this point like this, and then I'll place my armhole. I hope you can see it. And then I'll trace it out like this, just to get the exact curve. So after tracing it out, if you notice, the sleeve is like a straight sleeve. So I'll trace it out. So that will be my armhole. So on this part, this is the wrist part. So for the wrist part, if you notice, it has something like an elastic. So for this, it depends on how big you want it to be. So mine, I'm just going to leave it at 8 inches, which is 16. And then from this point, I'm just going to curve this into this point. So that's just literally my sleeve. I'll cut out. So that is my sleeve. So it's the width that you make use of any width you want. So mine is 17 inches. So I'll go ahead and open them up. And then I'll show you how it is going to look now. So for you to understand what I'm saying, so this is how our sleeve is going to be. So you can see, so you see the sleeve. So you see it's going to fit into this point perfectly well like this. And then this part, because it has some tiny pleats, because I'm going to pipe it, I'm going to pull it up a little bit. That's when I'm piping it. I'll pipe it to like 5 inches. So you just pipe it to your armhole measurement, which is 5 inches. If your own is 10, that's if it is big. If for a plus size, just use the round sleeve measurement, and then you pipe it. Just hold it and then pipe it, turn round. And then on this down part, I'm just going to use my elastic, so you can see that it's looking like what we have on the picture. So that's that. And then on this side, I'm going to make a long strap that we're going to attach to the side. So I'll just go ahead and finish that up, and then I'll show you the final look. Okay, so you can see I finished stitching my sleeve. So mine, I decided not to add elastic to the top and the down part. So I just used the band like I explained earlier on, to the waist measurement, and then to her shoulder measurement. So the next thing, I'm just going to go ahead and fix it, and then you see the final look of the. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you can see how our off shoulder bustier basque top is looking like. So like I said, the sleeve, I actually did not add an elastic, so I made it that way. So you can see, so on the side I just made a little sash and attached it. So you can actually do that one any way you want it. Depends on how full or big you want the sash to be. You can use your own desired measurement. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. God bless you.